Calderon, Cedillo, Cogdill, Corbett, Correa, Cox, Denham, DeSaulnier, Ducheney, Dutton, Emerson, Flores, Hancock, Harmon, Hollingsworth, Huff, Kehoe, Leno, Liu, Lowenthal, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Pavley, Price, Romero, Runner, Smidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee. Mr. President, we are lacking a quorum.
Members, we are lacking a quorum. Will the members of the Senate please proceed to the Senate floor so we may begin today's Would the members and guests be on the rail in the gallery please rise? We will be led in prayer this morning by our guest chaplain, Rabbi Shoshana D. King Tornberg, the Director of Lifelong Learning at the Congregation. Oh, hold on. And then we also be led in the pledge today by our newest senator, Senator Emerson. Rabbi.
Let us pray. The American author Walter Anderson wrote, "I am responsible. Although I may not be able to prevent the worst from happening, I am responsible for my attitude toward the inevitable misfortunes that darken life. Bad things do happen. How I respond to them defines my character and the quality of my life. I can choose to sit in perpetual sadness, immobilized by the gravity of my loss, or I can choose to rise from the pain and treasure the most precious gift I have, life itself. To be a person of character, indeed to be a full human being, means to take responsibility for acting in response to the best of our ability. Too often we ask ourselves questions about blame using the word responsibility only when we are at fault. But instead, we are called to stand up and take part in building a future, no matter the source and no matter the reasons for our present. Let each of our hearts arise this very morning in response to this call. Let us move from pain or mistakes and craft our responses in the name of life. May this call inspire us to build a future about which we may all be proud. And let us say, Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Members' privileges of the floor. The members with privileges of the floor. Messages from the Assembly will be deemed read. Reports of the committee will be deemed read. And amendments adopted. Senator Cogdill, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to request that file item number 197, AB 1905, be pulled from consent agenda for purposes of amendments.
Without objection. Senator Emerson.
Yes, at the request of the author, I'd also like to remove item number 197, AB 1905, from the consent calendar for purposes of amendment.
Thank you, Senator Emerson. So noted. Senator Kehoe.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under motions and resolutions. Thank you. I request unanimous consent to suspend Senate Rule 29.3 to take up the Assembly Bill 1714. This is the claims bill, members. And the Assembly is waiting, and I'm happy to explain it when we get there.
Without objection. Secretary, please read the item. Item 44.
Assembly Bill 1714 by Assemblymember Fuentes, enacting relating to the payment of claims against the state, making an appropriation therefore, and declaring the urgency thereof to take effect immediately.
Senator Kehoe.
Thank you, members. This bill would pay 4 claims and settlements against the state approved by the Department of Justice. It was passed out of the Appropriations Committee in the Senate the other day. 3 claims totaling $20,098,000 will be paid from the general fund. 1 claim of about $392,000 will be paid from the horse racing fund. Members, the one item, a sum of $20 million, is hereby appropriated from the general fund to the Department of Justice to pay the settlement of the government claims of J.C. Dugard and each of her 2 minor children against the Department of Corrections, something we all want to see settled. So I would tell you the Department of Finance supports the payment of the claims, and I ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? This is a 2/3 vote. Will the Secretary please read? Secretary, please call the roll.
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Duchesne? Dutton? Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Smidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Ashburn, aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? Correa.
Okay.
Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. DeCheney. Dutton. Hancock. Oropesa. Pavley. Runner. Smidian. Aye. Walters. Wiggins. Wright. Wyland.
Please call the absent members. Let's do one more time.
Cedillo. Cogdill. Correa. Aye. Denham. DeCheney. Dutton. Hancock. Oropesa. Pavley. Runner. Walters. Wiggins. Wright. Wyland.
Senator Kehoe moves the call. Members, under motions and resolutions without objection, the following resolutions will be withdrawn from committee and placed on today's special consent calendar. SCR 110, SCR 111, SCR 115, ACR 123, ACR 162, and ACR 169. Also, members, pursuant to Senate Rule 2910, the following bills are referred to the Rules Committee. File Item 55, SB 662, and File Item 56, SB 726. Senator Calderon, you recognize at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under motions and resolutions, I request the removal of Item 236 from the special consent calendar to be placed on the third reading file for the purpose of amending.
Without objection. Senator Yee.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. At the request of the author, remove file item number 190 AB 1436 from the consent calendar and place it inactive.
Okay. Thank you, Senator Yee. Senator Harman. Senator Harman.
For purposes of introduction, members, if I could have your attention for a moment, I'd like to direct your attention to the rear of the chambers. Give me a moment to recognize a young man that has been working in my office as a Senate fellow for the past year, Benjamin Cassidy. Benjamin has done a terrific job for me, and he is headed off to law school in the very near future. As you know, I'm an attorney and went to law school, and I was very fortunate to get admitted to law school. On the other hand, Benjamin received a personal telephone call from the Dean of Bolt Hall here in California, inviting him to please come to their law school, and he said he would think about it for a while. And then he got a call from the Dean of the law school at Harvard University asking him to come to their law school. He said he would think about it for a while. And then the Dean of Yale Law School called Benjamin and asked him to attend their school, and he decided to accept. So he's off to Yale Law School starting this fall. His last days here in the Capitol will be in mid-July, and we'll be on break. So I wanted to take a moment to recognize Benjamin and thank him for the terrific work he did staffing me and the Judiciary Committee, where we had a good time looking at all the bills that were brought to that committee. Benjamin, thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication in working in my office. Appreciate it. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you, Benjamin.
Members, moving on to the consideration of the daily file, will the Secretary please read the second reading file?
Senate Joint Resolution 33, Senate Bill 989, Assembly Bill 1706, 1847, 2009, 2101.
The second reading file will be deemed read. We'll move on to unfinished business, file item 54. Senator Yee, not at his desk. File item 55, Senator not eligible. File item 57. Okay. File item 59. Senator Yee.
Senator Runner.
Hold on. Senator Yee, you recognize at your desk.
Item 59.
File item 59. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 40 by Senator Yee relative to juvenile justice.
Senator Yee.
Mr. President and Senators, this is a item for concurrence, and the only amendments from the Assembly was to clarify the distribution copies of this resolution. Urge an aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? No. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? No. Cox? No. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Runner? No. Simidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Whiteland? Yee? Yee, aye. Onnested, no. Harmon, no.
Please call the absent members.
Cedillo? Aye. Denham? Hancock? Oropesa? Romero? Aye. Simidian? Aye. Strickland? Wiggins? Wright? Wyland?
Senator Yee moves a call. Senator Yee would like to return to file item 54.
That's correct,
You're
Mr.
recognized
President.
at your desk. Will the Secretary please read file item 54?
Senate Bill 535 by Senator Yee, an act relating to vehicles.
Senator Yee. Senator Yee, you're recognized at your desk.
Mr. President, why don't we hold off on this item? Thank you.
We'll hold off on file item 54. Senator Wolk, did you have an item?
I'd like to pull file item 241 AB 2626 off of special consent for amendments.
Without objection. Senator Kehoe.
President, I'd like to ask you to lift the call on file item 44.
Will the Secretary please lift the call on file item 44? Call the absent members.
Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Denham? Ducheney? Dutton? Hancock? Oropesa? Pavley? Aye. Runner? Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wright? Wyland? Ducheney? Aye.
Thank you.
Ayes 30, noes 1. Ayes 30, noes 1 on the urgency. Ayes 30, noes 1 on the measure. The measure is passed. Senator Kehoe.
And may we transmit it to the Assembly immediately?
Immediate transmittal to the Assembly. Senator Renner, you recognize your desk.
Thank you. Actually, two things. One is I'd like to remove AB 1809 Smythe, item 238, from the consent calendar with the author's permission.
Without objection.
And then I'd like to go back to file item number 58.
File item 58, Senator Runner. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Bill 944 by Senator Runner, an act relating to Ronald Reagan Day.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. SB 944 makes an annual recognition of February 6th as Ronald Reagan Day in California. Technical amendments were taken in the Assembly to avoid chaptering out issues with other days of significance. I would ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Smidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Wyland. Yee. Yee aye. Smidian aye. Hancock aye.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The measure is passed. Thank you, Senator Runner. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. Members, we're going to now move to Assembly third reading file. I know Senator Wolk had a measure, file item 130, and if there are other measures, members, that you are carrying for an Assembly member, please feel free to lift your mic. Senator Wolk, file item 130.
Thank you, Mr. President. Assemblymember Block's bill will make certain that the California...
Okay, will the Secretary please read file item 130?
Assembly Bill 2314 by Assemblymember Block, an act relating to taxation.
Senator Wolk.
2314 will make certain that the California disabled veterans receive a special property tax exemption that is available to them. It will give them at least 90 days as opposed to 30 to file a claim. They've made tremendous sacrifices in answering the call to duty. This bill is sponsored by the Board of Equalization and has received wide bipartisan support so far, and I ask for an aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing and hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Aye. Cox. Aye. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Smidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Aye. Wyland. Yee. Yee aye.
Ayes 35, noes 0. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. The measure is passed. Senator Emerson, you're recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I'd like to bring up file item 110, ACR 88, for consideration. This resolution would establish the Science, Technology, and Engineering and Math.
Will the Secretary please read the measure?
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 88 by Assemblymember Torlakson relative to education.
Senator Emerson.
As I was saying, thank you. This resolution would establish the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math Task Force, nationally referred to as STEM. This task force will provide a bipartisan forum for discussion of STEM education policy in a state where our students have fallen severely behind. Priority among the goals of the task force will be providing career tech education to students so they are prepared for college and can participate in the future workforce in high school, and I ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Any debate or discussion, members? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Cox. Aye. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Smidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Wyland. Yee. Yee, aye.
Ayes 32, noes 0. The measure is passed. Members, we have some, on the Assembly third reading file, we have some members who would like to take some bills up. Let me give you a very short order. We're going to go to Senator Dutton, Senator Ashburn, Senator Strickland, Senator Corbett, and Senator Harmon. Let's start with Senator Dutton, and Senator Ducheney after that. Senator Dutton, what file item would you like to take up?
File item 146.
File item 146. Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Bill 1906 by Assemblymember Cook, enacting to grand juries.
Mr. President and members, AB 1906 would allow the County of San Bernardino to impanel an additional civil grand jury. Currently, the law authorizes at least one grand jury to be drawn and summoned once a year in each county. An additional grand jury can also be summoned, but is restricted to criminal grand jury processes only. San Bernardino County has found that a single grand jury with 1 year term is insufficient due to a heavy caseload. This bill will cost the state absolutely nothing and will not create new costs for the court. The grand jury costs will be assumed by the county. This additional grand jury might even free up some court time by reducing the need for preliminary hearings. This bill does not create a reimbursable mandate because it does not require the county to impanel an additional grand jury. It merely gives San Bernardino County the option. Overall, this bill is designed to ensure that San Bernardino County can have additional civil grand jury that will perform the necessary public watchdog function on local government. I would respectfully request an aye vote.
Okay, you want to go to that? Yeah. Okay. Any debate or discussion, members, on this? Seeing and hearing none, would the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Cox. Aye. Denham. DeSaulnier. Aye. Ducheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Emerson. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Aye. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Price. Aye. Romero. Aye. Runner. Aye. Smidian. Steinberg. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Wyland. Yee. Yee, aye. Correa, aye. Smidian, aye.
Ayes 33, noes 0. The measure is passed. Senator Ashburn, you're recognized at your desk. For file item
139.
File item 139, will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Joint Resolution 29 by Assemblymember Fear relative to same-sex couples tax equity.
Senator Ashburn.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and Senators. This measure deals with equal treatment under the federal income tax law. On tax day, April 15th, some Californians were treated differently under the law for the purposes of their federal tax obligation. What this resolution seeks is a ruling from the IRS that will be consistent with California law, which establishes a responsibility for all Californians to pay their taxes equally and fairly, and allows all persons in our state to use the community property laws of our state, both domestic partners and same-sex couples having equal treatment and responsibility under the law. Same-sex couples, registered domestic partners, and married couples who are treated differently under the ruling of the IRS end up paying a higher tax obligation. And so I think all of us would agree that the amount of tax that is appropriately owed to our federal government and income taxes is the tax that ought to be paid, and that all people ought to be treated equally under the law. That's what this resolution does, and calls upon the IRS to issue a ruling appropriate to those principles, and I ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Senator Ashburn. Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? No. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? No. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye.
Ayes 24, noes 11. The resolution is adopted. Let's move on to Senator Strickland. Senator Strickland, what file item would you like to take up?
File item 182.
File item 180.
AB 1399.
File item 182. Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Bill 1399 by Assemblymember Anderson, an act relating to local government.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. Members, AB 1399 closes a loophole in the ethics law. This is a straightforward bill that prohibits local public officials from making taxpayer-funded vehicles or credit cards available to their immediate family members. AB 1399 is supported by 8 labor unions, 2 taxpayer groups, and has 25 bipartisan co-authors. Everybody understands this loophole must be closed, and the bright line should be drawn when it comes to protecting public assets from political favoritism. Thank you, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Emerson? Aye. Flores? Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Semidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Wright? Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye.
Ayes 28. No,
Smitty, aye.
ayes 29. No, 0. The measure is passed. Members, we are still on Assembly third reading. I'm going to move to Senator Harman, Senator Duchesne, Senator Leno, and Senator Liu, and then we will return back to the Senate third reading file, and Senator Corbett and Senator Walters have a measure at that point. So, Senator Harman.
137, file
item 137. Will the Secretary please read file item 137?
Assembly Bill 2486 by Assemblymember Fuhrer, enacting to social host liability.
Senator Harman.
Thank you, Mr. President. AB 2486 has bipartisan support and has received no votes. It's known as the Teen Alcohol Safety Act of 2010. It's a carefully crafted measure designed to save young lives by acting as a long-needed disincentive to irresponsible adults who knowingly provide underage teens with alcohol in their homes. Now, this is the important part of the bill. This is directed to adults, including parents, that provide alcohol to underage individuals in their homes. As we know painfully well, California has seen numerous heart-wrenching tragedies in recent years as teens have increasingly engaged in bouts of binge drinking that have led to hospitalizations and death. Although it's a crime under state law to supply alcohol to a minor, California is one of only a few small handful of states that do not provide for parental responsibility in such shocking cases. And I would submit to you that this needs to change, and that's what AB 2486 does. Under current law, social hosts are exempted from liability. This bill will change that and provide that a claim against a parent, guardian, or another adult who knowingly furnishes alcoholic beverages at his or her residence to a person under 21 years of age, and that the furnishing of that alcohol may be found to be a proximate cause resulting injuries or death, they would have civil liability. Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Harman. Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilizing the unanimous roll call? Seeing, hearing none, ayes 35, no 0. The measure is passed. Moving on to Senator Duchesne. You're recognized at your desk. File item?
122.
File item 122. Will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Bill 2309 by Assemblymember Fletcher, enacting to veterans.
Senator Duchesne.
Thank you very much. Mr. President and members, this bill would name the Chula Vista Veterans Home for one of our local veterans who was most active in that home, worked with it from the time that it was first opened in 2000, and prior to that was a Vietnam veteran who came to San Diego in the 80s and was active in founding our Vietnam Veterans Village, and many other throughout the veterans community of San Diego. Was well known. Somebody was active and really focused on the work of the Veterans Home, on helping us get the Veterans Home, and doing a lot of the things to build the foundation on the Veterans Home. His name was John Smith, and he died recently. And Assemblyman Fletcher and others from San Diego ask all of you to join us in naming our Chula Vista Veterans Home, the John Smith Memorial Veterans Home, to honor him and to create that image for everybody else to do the kinds of service to community and to veterans that John Smith did. Ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Duchesne. Members, any debate or discussion? Is there any objection to utilizing the unanimous roll call? Seeing, hearing none, ayes 35, noes 0. Senator Duchesne?
One other housekeeping item while I'm here.
Well, the
Mr.
measure is
President.
passed. Ayes 35, noes 0. The measure is passed. Senator Duchesne?
Oh, sorry. That at the request of the author to place file item 148 on the inactive.
Under motions and resolutions, that item will be placed on the inactive file. Members, under motions and resolutions, as pursuant to Senate Rule 2910, the following bills are referred to the Rules Committee, file item 54, SB 535. Returning back to the Assembly third reading file, Senator Leno, you're recognized at your desk for file item?
Number 112, please.
112. Will the Secretary please read file item 112?
Assembly Bill 2582 by Assemblymember Adams, enacting to criminal procedure.
Senator Leno.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, Assemblyman Adams has noticed an anomaly in our penal code. Current law states that those convicted of a misdemeanor after a passage of a year can petition the court to have his or her record cleared. The same is not true for the lesser crime of an infraction. This bill will correct that for those convicted of non-vehicular infractions. I ask for your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Seeing, hearing none, will the Secretary please call the roll?
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Aye. Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye. Strickland, aye. Wright, aye. Smidian, aye. Correa, aye.
Ayes 35, noes 0. The measure is passed. Moving on to Senator Liu for your file item.
119.
Will the Secretary please read file item 119?
Assembly Bill 1876 by Assemblymember Torlakson, enacting to before and after school programs.
Senator Liu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, AB 1876 allows after-school-based grants to be used for weekend activities and gives successful 21st century learning programs extra points when applying for grant funds. Until recently, after-school programs have used a small portion of their base grants to pay for additional expense during weekend activities. However, in 2007, the California Department of Education determined that base grants could not be used for weekend activities because the statute does not explicitly allow it, even though it gives programs more flexibility to, say, take advantage of free tickets given by baseball teams or a museum. AB 1776 resolves the situation by allowing after-school providers to use their base grants to pay for program-related activities on weekends as long as the program is deemed successful and meets attendance goals, and I ask for your support on this bill.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilizing the unanimous roll call? There is. Please call the roll.
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? No. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? No. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? No. Hollingsworth? No. Huff? No. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye. Correa, aye. Onnested, aye.
Ayes 24, noes 10. The measure is passed. Members, we're going to... yes, Senator Liu.
I have another one.
Okay, Senator Liu. File item?
Yes. File item 136.
File item 136. Will the Secretary please read?
Thank you.
Assembly Bill 2426 by Assemblymember Bradford, enacting to surrogacy facilitators.
Senator Liu.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, AB 2426 is a fiscally prudent solution to solve fraud that occurs when surrogacy agencies close their doors and embezzle millions of dollars from their clients. Non-attorney surrogacy agencies are perhaps the least regulated multi-billion-dollar industry in California. Agencies have been setting up shop throughout California. Many of these individuals practicing in these agencies are not licensed or regulated by any governmental body. The Los Angeles Times reported that a surrogacy facilitator who suddenly and unexpectedly closed its doors failed to account for more than $2 million in its customers' funds. AB 2426 will prevent non-attorney surrogacy facilitators from having direct access to their clients' funds. The facilitators will be required to direct their clients to deposit unearned funds into either an independent or bonded escrow company or a trust account maintained by an attorney. There is no opposition, and I ask for your support on this bill.
Okay. Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilizing the unanimous roll call? Please call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Corbett? Aye. Correa? Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Emerson? Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Hollingsworth? No. Huff? Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? No. Semidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? No. Walters? No. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee? Yee, aye. Correa, aye.
Please call the absent members.
Cogdill? No. Denham? Dutton? No. Emerson? No. Harmon? No. Huff? No. Oropesa? Wiggins? Wyland?
Ayes 26, noes 9. The measure passes. Members, returning now to the Senate third reading file, we have Senator Corbett. File item?
73.
File item 73. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 76 by Senator Corbett relative to human trafficking.
Thank you very much, Mr. President and members. Most Californians would be surprised to learn that although slavery was abolished nearly 150 years ago, the practice sometimes continues to occur at an alarming rate. However, modern-day slavery has evolved into a much more covert practice, targeting the most vulnerable individuals who live in poverty on the very margins of our society. Recent data shows that most victims of trafficking are women and minors who are forced to work in prostitution, sweatshops, and domestic service. Increased public awareness is a vital component of the fight against this morally wrong practice. As legislators, we are in a unique position to work with organizations, businesses, and constituents to shed light on the prevalence of human trafficking and slavery and recognize the laudable efforts currently being made to eradicate it. SCR 76 would encourage members of the legislature, as well as organizations, businesses, and individuals to host and sponsor community events in order to bring visibility and support to the fight against slavery. ACR 76 would also encourage all Californians to become educated about this very serious global problem so that we can work to eliminate this inhumane practice within and beyond our borders. I ask for your support on this measure.
Thank you, Senator Corbett. Members, is there any debate or discussion on this item? Senator Onnested.
While I support this measure, I think, though, we need to think about what we just said. An open border is probably one of the biggest inducements to human trafficking violations there is. And that yet this legislature continues with its silence to do nothing about the problem of illegal immigration and the open borders that we have with other countries. So we're really talking about, hey, this is a feel-good measure, but we're not going to do anything about it. Folks, you can't have it both ways.
Members, any more debate or discussion on this item? Seeing hearing none, will the secretaries please call the roll?
Onnested? Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Aye. Dutton? Emerson? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Aye. Runner? Aye. Smidian? Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Aye. Wiggins? Wolk? Aye. Wright? Aye. Wyland? Yee. Yee, aye. Onnested, aye. Kehoe, aye.
Ayes 33, noes 0. The measure.
Dutton, aye.
Ayes 34, noes 0. The measure is passed. Senator Walters, recognize your desk. For file item?
Yes. Let's see. SCR 70. I'm sorry. It's SCR 67. File item 68.
File item 68. And Senate third reading. Will the Secretary please read file item 68?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 67 by Senator Walters relative to the American flag.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senators. SCR 67 honors the 50th anniversary of the current star American flag. When a new state is added to the Union, our flag is updated, adding a star representing the new state. On August 21, 1959, Hawaii became the 50th state to enter the Union. On July 4, 1960, the 50-star flag was flown over Independence Hall, making its inaugural official appearance. This 4th of July will be the 50th anniversary of the flying of the current version of our flag. It is also the longest stretch of time any American flag has flown over the United States. Please join me in honoring the symbol of freedom and liberty that has flown over our nation for the past 50 years. I respectfully request your aye vote.
Members, any debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilizing the unanimous roll call? Ayes 35, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Senator Smidian, recognized at your desk.
Thank you, Mr. President. On file item 69, please.
File item 69, Senator Smidian. Will the Secretary please read?
Senate Concurrent Resolution 95 by Senator Smidian relative to World War II.
Senator Smidian.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I am holding in my hand a document which I suspect is unfamiliar to most members of this chamber. It's the Tenney Report. I doubt that many of you have heard of the Tenney Report. The Tenney Report is formally titled The Report of the Joint Fact-Finding Committee on Un-American Activities in California. And it's dated 1943 and informally named the Tenney Report after the chairman, Jack Tenney, who served as both a member of the California State Senate and the California State Assembly and as both a Democrat and a Republican. The reason I rise to share with you the existence of the Tenney Report today is because it is a tangible reminder of a sad chapter in American history and California history of which I was unaware until recently. And that is the treatment of Italian Americans, including Italian American citizens, in this country, and most particularly in this state, during the early days of World War II. We know the stories of other citizens who were mistreated during those times, but the story of the Italian American community has largely gone untold. It is sometimes referred to as a secret story. You may be surprised to know that Italian Americans, again, including Italian American citizens, including those who had sons fighting in the war, were not only subject to curfew restrictions, travel restrictions, precluded from pursuing their livelihoods along the coast of California if they were fishermen. They had property confiscated, things as simple as a radio or a flashlight, lest they be used for criminal purposes during the course of the conduct of the war. And many, hundreds indeed, were also interned during World War II. It is an opportunity through SCR 95 to take a moment and to acknowledge those events, express regret, as the U.S. government did 10 years ago, and to particularly call out the fact that this should be a reminder of our commitment to preserving the rights of all people here in the state. Members, it is a too little told story, but a too often occurrence. It is a remembrance of the past, but also a reminder of the conduct that we cannot afford to see again in the future. I would respectfully ask for your aye vote. This measure came out of the Rules Committee on a unanimous bipartisan basis.
Thank you, Senator Simitian. Senator Cedillo.
Add my voice to the proposal. It is so critical during these times in which we suffer economic tumult that we learn the lessons of history, that we recognize that at times of hysteria, we engage sometimes in activities for which it'll take decades for us to acknowledge, and then once we acknowledge, to apologize. And so I think it's invaluable, and I thank Senator Simitian because he frequently and constantly reminds us of the errors of our past, not to dwell, but to bring us clarity on the moment so that those do not become additional errors of the future. I ask for an aye vote also.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Cedillo. Members, any more debate or discussion on this item? Is there any objection to utilizing unanimous roll call? Seeing, hearing none, ayes 34, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Thank you, Senator Simitian. Senator Harman, you recognize at your desk.
Yes, to remove an item from the special consent calendar at the request of the author for purposes of amendment. It's file item 220, AB 1738 by Tran.
Without objection. Thank you, Senator Harman. Members, is there anyone else who would like to take up an assembly item today? Senator Ducheney, file item.
I apologize, Mr. President, but the earlier item I took up 122. I am given late word that we need to rescind the vote because the amendments that we thought had been put across the desk had not been yet. May we rescind the vote, or is that reconsideration? Because it needs amendments that we thought mistakenly had already been put. 122.
File item 122, motion to reconsider. Without objection? Members, reconsideration is granted.
Thank you very much. Back on file?
Ayes 34, no 0.
And back on file, and then we will amend it appropriately. Thank you very much.
Senator DeSaulnier.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under motions and resolutions, I'd like to requested item number 230, AB 2379, FUR, be removed from the special consent calendar at the request of the author.
Thank you, Senator. So noted. Members, any other items? We're going to move on to the consent calendar and the special consent calendar. File item 213, will the Secretary please read?
Assembly Bill 1894 by Assemblymember Monning and according to judges.
Members, we're going to apply the unanimous roll call to both the consent calendar and the special consent calendar. Is any objection to doing that? Seeing, hearing none, ayes 34, noes 0. The consent and the special consent calendars are approved. Seeing no other business, Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear. Senator Hollingsworth.
Thank you, Mr. President. There'll be a Republican caucus immediately upon adjournment in room 305.
Senator Padilla, for what purpose?
Announcement, please. Sure. Mr. President, in the back of chambers, he's hiding here somewhere, is Henry Castillo, who's been a Senate fellow in my office for the last many months, front and center. You ought to be familiar with what that means. Native of Pomona, California, and a graduate of Cal State LA, Henry joined the military at the age of 17 with permission from his parents and did his tour of duty in the Navy. And after military service and graduating from college, dedicated a year of his life to the Obama for America campaign, and then applied to the Senate Fellows Program, where he's done, I got to say, a tremendous job in my office. In the next several days, we'll find out if he's going off to Hastings Law School or law school at UC Davis. One of the two lucky winners is going to have a great young man studying there for a few years, and we hope to bring him back into state service soon thereafter. So I wanted to say thank you to Henry for his great work. His last days will be during the month of July. Not sure if I'd have another opportunity, but wanted to brag about him a little bit in front of all of you. Thank you, Henry.
Thank you. Welcome. Good luck to you, sir, and thank you. Senator Wolk, for what purpose?
Announcement.
Please.
The Rev and Tax Committee will meet right after session 2040.
Very good. Thank you. Senator Lowenthal.
Senate Transportation and Housing will meet immediately for one bill in room 4203. It'll be very short.
If I may, Senator Hollingsworth, of course, has called a Republican caucus, and I want to have a very brief Democratic caucus after session, so why don't we have the committees begin immediately after the caucuses. Senator Price?
Members who come to the Select Committee on Procurement, we've got a hearing on the examination of the business certification process, room 112. One adjournment.
Thank you very much. Senator Greta McLeod.
Yes, the purposes of announcements that the Business and Profession meeting will, after adjournment, in 3191.
Very
one
good.
bill.
Thank you very much. Senator Wright?
Yes, Mr. President, members, sad notice. Some of you may remember the Cunningham family. They hail from Santa Barbara. Sam was here where we honored him a couple of years ago. His brother Randall lost his 3-year-old son 2 days ago. He apparently got away and drowned in a backyard family swimming pool. Christian Cunningham was the youngest son. He was 3 years old of Randall and his wife, Felicity. Again, Randall and Sam were residents and grew up in the great city of Santa Barbara. Services are still pending. Not a great deal you can say about a child at 3 years old, but I hope that we would pray for the Cunningham family for the loss of Randall's youngest son.
Senator Wright, please give our condolences to the Cunningham family. We'll lift the call on file item 59, please.
Denham, Hancock, I, Oropesa, Strickland, Wiggins, Wright, I, Weiland.
Ayes 22, noes 12. The measure passes. The resolution is adopted. All right. Thank you, members. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. I want to make the following announcement that's of no surprise to anybody, but the summer recess is canceled. And canceled until we complete our budget work, which is ongoing and intensive. I'm going to ask the members to be within 24 hours of the Capitol. May do work, obviously in your districts, and I know that there are a number of committee hearings, some related to the budget, up here over the next several weeks. But as members, to stay close, the leaders are meeting regularly, and we hope and expect to call you back. But in the meantime, for obvious reasons, the the work here in the Senate will continue, and there'll be no summer recess until the budget is done. Thank you. Senate is adjourned.